If you are just starting to make a lifestyle change and it's something that you're trying to do forever, which is what I'm trying to do, I think the key to that is definitely incorporating foods that you totally love. So tonight, what we're having is spaghetti and meatballs. I saw a fitness influencer post the other day a pretty interesting comment. What she said was not to use high protein pasta, that you get more bang for your buck on the protein side if you just make a very meaty pasta. So tonight, my portion is going to be 1 cup of pasta, but I'm going to cover it with a nice amount of meatballs. And who doesn't want that? Behind me, I have a pot of water boiling for my pasta, and I'm just going to get together my meatball mixture. This is 1 pound of ground sirloin, so this is a leaner ground beef. I'm gonna let my food processor do all the veg. So here I have half of a red onion. You can use a white onion. I just had a red onion, 1 small carrot, which I'm just gonna cut in half and throw in a pretty large stalk of celery. I started chopping this garlic when I realized I don't need to do that because that's also going in the food processor. That's about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. A pretty good handful of parsley. I'm calling it about a half a cup. There you go. And it's all ground up in here. All ground up. That was so easy, just getting the veg into this meat. This is like instant flavor. And oh my gosh, there go the onions. You can never be safe from the onions if you're me. I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. I really meant to soak those breadcrumbs in a little bit of milk, but adding it all together is not a big problem. 1/4 cup of milk. And the milk is just gonna make the breadcrumbs puff up a little bit. It's gonna add moisture to the meatballs because we do not want a dry meatball. No, we don't. The other thing I'm using is this Fairlife milk. Adds a little protein, can't hurt. 1 ounce of Parmesan cheese that I grated and weighed myself, and look at how much 1 ounce of cheese is. And this is going to make 4 portions. Do not be afraid to use the good stuff. And I have 1 egg to bind it all together. A tablespoon of Italian seasoning, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Then I'm just gonna go in with my hands here. They're clean. I have a family member that lives in Italy, and they were talking about meatballs in Italy today, how they're a separate course from the pasta. And I was like, okay, they're talking about meatballs. I need to eat a meatball. Like, I need one right now. I'm gonna turn this into 12 meatballs. And if it's 4 portions in this recipe, then 3 of these big honkin' meatballs are mine. I like to work with wet hands when I'm forming my meatballs. So yeah, that's a pretty nice sized meatball. If you're new here, welcome. Welcome to my world where we eat low calorie, high protein, high fiber food that is delicious, that doesn't make us feel like we're in a calorie deficit. We're gonna start with the sauce, super simple. 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Use good olive oil. A couple of cloves of garlic that I sliced. A large can of San Marzano tomatoes. That's just a little basil leaf that they put in there, so I'm letting that come along for the ride. Use my wooden spoon here and break down these tomatoes. And they'll break down a little bit more as they cook. Some Italian seasoning, and I'm gonna be pretty generous. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and you can add crushed red pepper if you want it a little bit spicy. And I just rinsed that can out. Don't want to leave any tomato goodness behind. That's the makings of our little simple sauce. We cover it offset and let that simmer until my meatballs are ready to take a swim. And I have another pan that's large enough to fit all of these meatballs. Want to make sure we brown all the sides. We're not trying to cook them all the way through. You have to be really gentle with them. They're a little bit soft, so you don't want to beat them up too much. Okay, let's check our sauce. Yeah, that looks great. I'm just gonna use my little fork and my spoon to transfer these meatballs into the sauce, and they will finish cooking right in here. I'm not gonna touch them. I'm not gonna stir them. I'm not gonna do anything. I want them to get a little more firm because I don't want to mess with them too much or they'll start falling apart. Put the lid on, keep it on low, very low. I'm gonna give them like 5 minutes to firm up. Oh yeah. Now they're firm and I don't have to worry so much. And I'm just gonna flip them over in this sauce. My pasta is boiling. That is what you want. You want to cover up these meatballs. Get them in that sauce. Okay, let that go a little while longer. Look at that. Look at that. Wait to see the macros on this. You won't believe it. And this is regular spaghetti and meatballs. That is a proper spaghetti and meatball portion. In fact, it's the way I like it because I always want more meatballs. I always want more meatballs. You get all the spaghetti and then they give you like 1 or 2 meatballs and you're like, can I please have another meatball? Very tender. The way that I do the veg makes them very soft. That's a real meatball, you know? And you could add, if you want, a little bit of Parmesan or Pecorino Romano. Gosh, life is good. I want to cry. Is there anything better than spaghetti and meatballs? I really just don't think so.